What's going on, everybody? Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well today. And we've got a lot of free agency stuff to get to today. But before we open up that particular book, I want to take a video here at the start of the day to talk about some news we got yesterday concerning a division rival. And this has been a little bit of a hot topic with Seahawks fans lately because I think a lot of Seahawks fans just kind of find it funny that the Rams, and they're of course the division rival that I'm talking about here, is still kinda it doesn't seem like they're handling the way their season ended terribly well, and I made a video about this previously about how hurt the Rams seemed to be after that NFC Championship game, and then, of course, you have this, which I've talked a little bit about this before, but if you are a Seahawks fan that is on the internet in any capacity, you probably know about their issue with our two-point conversion. All right, everybody, before we go any further into this video, I want to take a minute to tell you guys about the Sleeper app and some new functionality they've recently rolled out, Team Picks. With Team Picks, you can pick winners in all kinds of sporting events. Right now, we have NBA basketball, college basketball, NHL hockey is going on, baseball's going to start in a little more than a month, and of course, you have futures in the NFL, even though the games in the NFL are over. Right now, if you look to my left here, you can actually see you can bet on next year's Super Bowl winner. They've got the Seahawks leading the way in those odds, by the way, at 12%. How does that make you feel as a Seahawks fan? But you can bet on MVP, you can bet on draft picks, you can bet on player destinations, all kinds of fun stuff, even though the season is over. So that is Team Picks over on Sleeper. A lot of fun stuff you can do. And of course, when I say that, I'm talking about the two-point conversion in the Week 16 game against the Rams, where you guys know there were actually three two-point conversions in that game, but I'm not talking about the first one. I'm not talking about the third one. I'm talking about the one in the middle. Ball gets thrown by Sam Darnold to Zach Charbonnet, bounces off of Jared Verse, bounces into the end zone. Cam Curl drops it or whatever, and Zach Charbonnet picks it up and eventually gets awarded the two-point conversion. So the Rams did not particularly agree with the referee's decision to award Seattle a two-point conversion from that play, and that is something that has been discussed to death during not just the offseason, but in the immediate aftermath of that game. And it did end up being a massive pivotal moment in this season. There's no doubt about it. That game and everything that sprang from that game changed this season. So now we've got this article from Jonathan Jones over on CBS Sports. The Rams are proposing an NFL rule change that would have nullified the two-point conversion. Of course, I'm talking about the second one. So there's something to be said from a few different angles here, right? Which is it seems to me that the Rams are trying to legislate fluky outcomes out of a football game. And it makes me think of Phil Hellmuth. Phil Hellmuth has that saying, if it weren't for luck, I'd win every time. And it feels like the Rams feel like they only lost that game because of luck. And they're taking steps to try to get the luck out of the equation as much as possible. And look, I understand that they're not trying to reverse the outcome of that game. Like, they can't do that. That game's over. The season's over. There's nothing they can do to change the fact that they did lose that game and ultimately lost in the NFC title game. But what I'm trying to say is this is kind of a reaction to that in that way. They view that game result as a fluke, and they're trying to eliminate the thing that was fluky, even though it could just as easily be the Rams that benefit from a fluky play like this year, for all we know. So I understand that they're not really trying to do anything that is in favor of them, but they're just trying to validate their belief that the result of that Week 16 game was in some way illegitimate or unfair. And that's what this is about to me. And look, you can tell it bothers them, right? And as a Seahawks fan, yeah, I will admit it does amuse me that they are trying to, what it seems to me anyway, trying to legislate flukes out of the game when flukes have been part of professional sports forever. Like, the greatest play in NFL history, according to most experts, is the immaculate reception. That plays a fluke, right? On some level, the helmet catch is a fluke. There are plays every single week in the NFL that are a fluke. If you cannot get that random, chaotic element out of the game completely. But the other side of this is, and this is the part where I get a little bit more analytical about it, because don't get me wrong, there is the Seahawks fan part of me that finds this all very funny, that they're taking what happened in this game and in this most recent season so badly to the point where they're trying to retroactively validate their belief that it was in some way not reflective of skill by getting a rule changed later. But there is another part of me that is wondering, what is the rule change that they're going to pursue here? And when this article came out yesterday, the first thing I said was, well, what is the rule change? Is the rule change the Rams aren't allowed to lose games anymore? What are they trying to change here? Because my first thought was, well, they're probably trying to change the recovering a fumble after the whistle rule, but that rule was changed specifically because the league wanted to open the door to have teams recover clear fumbles after inappropriate whistles. I talked about this in a video a few months ago. I remember the game that got this rule changed. Week 2, 2008, Chargers, Broncos, Jay Cutler. Broncos down a touchdown. Jay Cutler's driving the Broncos down the field to go tie the game. And he, empty hand, right? He has the empty hand play where he fumbles, Alex Smith style. Chargers jump on it, but Ed Hockley blows the whistle to kill the play before the Chargers recover it. So, look, it's an obvious fumble. It's an obvious recovery by the Chargers, but at that time, the rule said the whistle blew, the play is done, it's over. The Chargers lost that game because of that call. The Broncos got the touchdown, went for two, got it, won the game. So they changed the rule to prevent that. So why would they change the rule back just because they got a little bit of a funky outcome from having the rule that it is the way that it is now? And that's kind of my thing here. That's kind of one thing that I've been saying. You're not going to come up with a solution that is completely perfect here, right? You're not going to come up with something that is always going to rule fairly and objectively in every circumstance. Like, yes, I will admit it is a little bit weird that Zach Charbonnet is able to pick up a ball just to give it to a referee and then have that be ruled a 2-point conversion because the play was technically still considered to be live. That is a little bit weird. But is that worse than a situation where a referee blows the whistle incorrectly half a second before somebody recovers it and changes the outcome of a game? I don't think so. I think the latter is clearly a worse thing that you want to get out of the game. That ended up being an important game that year. The Chargers barely made the playoffs that year. The Broncos barely missed it. There was a scenario where that game would have cost the Chargers the playoffs that year. So, to me, that is way worse. I'd much rather have a situation where referees are able to apply some wiggle room in a fumble and a recovery when a whistle accidentally gets blown than just say it has to be rigid, no interpretation, no discussion. The whistle blows, the play is over, finito. But what is the rule change here? If you scroll down through this article, obviously I'm not going to go through the whole thing here, but Jonathan Jones does speculate on what the rule change could be, acknowledging that we don't know. What he writes in this paragraph right here is perhaps they wish to apply the fumble rules on a 2-point try to a lateral that has been touched by a defender and goes forward. And this refers to the fact that if the play was a fumble, it would not have worked. it only worked because it was a backward pass, and the rules on a backward pass are different than a fumble. And maybe it's that, and that would make some sense. Although what I would say is number one, why is it objectively better to have a lateral be treated the exact same way as a fumble? And number two, this happens so rarely, we're probably not going to hear about it for another 20 years. Like, if this rule gets changed to where a lateral is now treated the same way as a fumble in these situations, we're probably not going to hear about it coming up for another 20 years. So it almost feels like, what's the point? The play already happened. The game already was decided months ago. The season's over. It's going to be a very long time before that rule is even given the opportunity to matter. Maybe they want to have a time limit for a review to be initiated, because one thing that happened on this play was that it took quite some time, like a minute and a half, between the end of the play and the challenge being, or the review being initiated. And to which I say again, and this echoes something that a lot of Seahawks fans have said in recent weeks, the whole thing seems to be almost dissolving into the Rams saying, we want the NFL to get to the wrong call faster rather than the correct call slower, which I don't know where that comes from. Like, this idea that they want the referees to get it right. They just want referees to get it wrong. They just want the referee to get it wrong fast so they can get to the next play. The change could be related to the ball being possessed after the whistle blew, which, like I just said, that doesn't make any sense to me. There's a reason why they changed the rule 18 years ago, and I don't think they're going to change it back now. It may seek a clearer definition of what immediate continuing action is, which, I mean, it was pretty clearly the immediate continuing action that Charbonnet recovered it. I don't know what to say about that. And the last thing you want to do is allow NFL referees to have freedom to subjectively judge what they consider to be immediate continuing action. The last thing in the world you want is to empower a referee to say, we're going to let you figure this out on your own and use your own best judgment and common sense. That would be a big problem. So we can't go there. The only other thing I can think of, and this is something I didn't make a video about this when it happened, but this is something that Rams fans have kicked up some dust about over the last couple weeks, where it was reported that the rules analyst in the booth, Terry McAuley, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but you guys know who I'm talking about. Terry McAuley apparently called down to the referees in the game and told them what the right ruling was based on the rule book. And without that, they may have not known. And maybe, and there are two possibilities there. Number one is they want to make it so an outside voice can't influence the review, or they want to make it so that every review gets an outside voice. Like, there's always a Terry McAuley on the call, ready to go. Hey, just so you guys know, this is how it goes. This is how it works. This is the rule. So therefore, this is the way this play should be called. So maybe again, it could be one or the other, right? It could be one of those things where they're like, it can never happen, or it should always happen. Now, if they're saying it should always happen, yeah, I could maybe get behind that. The NFL makes enough money. They can employ another referee in for every game. Or, I mean, that's kind of like how the New York headquarters is supposed to work in the first place. So I don't I don't really know how that would be different than the system they have right now. But as for the whole Terry McAuley controversy, because Rams fans were not happy when they heard about this, my thing is, the real story there is that the referee in charge of the game, who I think his name was Brad Allen, doesn't know the rule. That's the story to me. The story is, to me, is not Terry McAuley interfered with the game by telling the referee what the right call was. To me, the story there is that, why doesn't Brad Allen know? He shouldn't need Terry to call him. He should just know because it's his job. So you're not going to get me to care about that angle. And I mean, Terry McAuley isn't just some random dude. He's a longtime NFL official, and he works with the networks um on NFL rule stuff. So I don't know exactly what the rule change is, but yeah, as a Seahawks fan, I find the whole thing pretty funny, and I think a lot of Seahawks fans do as well. But as someone that tries to be objective on things like this and tries to be fair and tries to be understanding of the different angles that go into it, I'm interested to see what they're actually trying to change here. There are a couple of things they could do that I would at least have some understanding of, although I might not necessarily agree. But if they're trying to change the whistle rule, where there's flexibility for referees to award a fumble recovery after a whistle, then that's just gonna kinda amuse me tremendously because, again, I remember the game that got the rule changed in the first place, and as far as I'm concerned, the Chargers got done way dirtier in that game than the Rams did in this game. But, yeah, we'll see if it goes through. Rule changes require, I think, like 24 votes, and I don't know if the Rams are gonna be able to wrangle up 24 votes here. If I had to guess, whatever rule change they propose will probably get struck down, but it's kinda funny to see them continue to struggle with this, and you listen to I made the video about this stuff McVay said. I made a video no, I didn't make a video actually about, like, the Devontae Adams stuff, the Jared Verse stuff. If you guys heard the Jared Verse comments leading up to the Super Bowl, that just took it out of him, man. What happened in that Week 16 game and then what happened in that NFC Championship game, feels like they still just kinda can't believe it, and they can't believe that it happened legitimately. They have to find some reason to believe that maybe it was legitimate, but it wasn't a reflection of who the better team actually was. And well, all I can say is that if we're causing this much pain to our rivals, we are doing something right. That's really all you can say about it, right? And it's like I said in that video a few weeks ago. It's been a long time since we've caused a rival team real pain. Like we've beaten them. We've beaten our rivals plenty of times, but this year, what we did to a Rams team that clearly feels like they were the team of destiny this year and still can't believe that it didn't go their way. I mean, hey, I'm gonna put that in my back pocket and feel pretty great about it right next to that Super Bowl title. All right, I'm gonna get out of here. Let me know what you guys think, but we'll see what they're actually trying to change here. But they're not getting over it anytime soon. They're not getting over it, and I gotta be honest. I don't know what's so hard to get over about it. All right, more videos soon. Go Hawks.